everyone, Dennis Chang here. Welcome to another video. I'm in Osaka, but by the time you watch this video, I might have changed places quite a number of times. If my calculations are correct, I should be in Taiwan by the time you watch this video. By the way, there's going to be the Taipei Gypsy Jazz Festival at the end of October. You should really come. It's a really nice festival. Duvet's going to be there, Daniel Garlitsky. It's not going to be gypsy jazz per se. It's going to be swing music because that's what Duvet does. I'll post a link in the description box. Anyway, what you just saw in the beginning was a video that I took this past summer in the month of June when I was in Paris and my friend Lior Krief came to visit me. So Lior Krief is the youngest son of Serge Krief, who is one of the legends of gypsy jazz. And we do have in the style of Serge Krief on DC Music School. Serge is famous for being one of the first players to play in the Django style in the 80s, 90s and onwards. At that time it was such a small community, and he was one of the non-gypsies who was playing this music really well. And for those who don't know, Serge Krief is a Tunisian Jew. And I somehow befriended this family, and I even got to spend Passover with the entire extended family one time. I got to be a Jew for a whole day, and it was one of the most happiest days of my life. I love these guys. They're such beautiful people, and I'm particularly close to Lior. And I remember when they first started playing music. So what's very interesting with Serge is that he's for the most part pretty much self-taught. He had a mentor in Paris, a few mentors. One of them was Matelot Ferrer, who was one of Django's accompanists. But for the most part, he learned on his own, through his own intuition, like a lot of the gypsies did. And his sons, Ezekiel and Lior, both learned the same way, with not so much guidance from the father. And I'm not saying that this is the best way to learn, but if you can learn this way, it is the best way to learn if you can learn that way. Let's put it that way. You should watch my video that I made before on talent. If you have the ability to learn this way, there are a lot of interesting advantages, in my opinion. Namely that you're going to, it's kind of like a journey of self-discovery. A young man's journey to discover himself. But yeah, it is. It's a journey of self-discovery, and you're going to discover a lot of things through your own intuition that maybe others might not discover, or you may not have discovered if you had learned kind of like through some sort of formal education. And Serge Krief and his sons as well, being highly influenced by Serge, is known for having, how do you say, being super creative. He managed to take the Django sound, or the gypsy sound, and make it his own by combining it with a lot of seemingly modern sounding influences through his own personal understanding of harmony. And I remember one time I spent a bit of time with Serge one time. Man, such a great time. When I brought him to the USA, we had a long drive, and I asked him, all right, we're in the USA, what do you want to eat? I'll take you anywhere you want. And you know what he said? We gotta go to KFC, Dennis. We gotta go to KFC. And when he saw KFC, he just flips. Dennis, we gotta go to KFC. So we went to KFC. He's really such a character. But I learned, he shared with me so many interesting stories about the history of the music, being in Paris in the 80s, 90s, and all that stuff. And I remember one thing that he said when I asked him, hey, do you know, like, did you ever study theory? And he's kind of like hesitating there. He's like, well, I know my own theory. And that was very interesting. He has his own way of looking at harmony and music. And through that personal vision of his, he's created a lot of really interesting outside sounding ideas in the gypsy jazz style, the Django style, but still retaining the Django accent. So it's really cool. If you're into that, I really recommend you check out his course on DC Music School. And I guess, and just in case you don't know, George Benson loves Serge Krief so much that he actually brought him over to the USA at some point. Unfortunately, in those days, as Serge told me, he was super shy and super introverted, or just like he kind of had a hard time with wanting to make a career for himself. So he always preferred to be more of a quote unquote hidden guy. So that's why I think he could have made it big. George Benson definitely opened the path for him, but unfortunately he never took advantage of that path. And he's just a really great guy who lives a very quiet life, a humble life, despite being so admired by a lot of musicians. Anyway, what was I going to say with Lior and Ezekiel is that they're self-taught as well. And I remember when they first started, they were like just shred demons. That's all they cared about. And I got to see how they evolved over the years, year after year, through their own self-intuition, their own self-observation. And I can see that Lior is starting to polish the rough edges that he had in the past, and it's getting better and better. And he's, I guess it's in the style of his father, Serge, a mix of Django style, a lot of modern bebop and whatnot. And it's just so very interesting to see that what the sons are coming up with through their own intuition year after year. It's a very natural, organic process. And I think in just a few more years, he will have come up with something really interesting and unique in the style. So I figured I'd make this video about Lior. So in the beginning of this video, he's playing this song by his father. It's called Sea Breeze. It's a minor blues. And like I said, Serge likes to explore these outside sounding notes, the avant-garde side of Django Reinhardt. So I'm going to explain the theory behind this. So the melody goes like this. So these are the upper extensions of a G minor chord. Taking this chord, G minor major 7. So this G minor major 7 with the 9. Then on the C minor, it's this. It's a C minor with the 11. Back to G minor. And then outlining this. That's the melody. So basically it's targeting the notes that are not so obvious in the chord. And that's the melody to Sea Breeze. And then Lior does this solo that's really interesting. He starts with this little idea. It's like kind of like a D flat major arpeggio. And what does that have to do with G minor? To be honest, I don't know. You'd have to ask him. Maybe he doesn't even know because he's just doing it by intuition. And again, this relates to my topic of harmonic direction. I guess it's kind of like stretching. Harmonic direction can start off fairly conservative, but you can also push the boundaries. And I guess maybe this is an example of pushing the boundaries. Playing D flat over G minor makes for a rather interesting outside sounding idea, but he starts with this and then resolves. This, my guitar's out of tune. It's because of the humidity and everything. It is incredibly hot in Osaka. But anyway, I'm not gonna tune it in because it's just gonna go back out of tune. But so you can just take the concept and just play it around with an arpeggio like this. Over G minor. By the way, you have the whole solo transcribed on SoundSlice. Okay, so see, end up being G minor, resolves. Starts with a dissonant idea, but then resolves. And then he has this arpeggio that sounds like he's going to do an G minor 6 arpeggio. But I don't know what he was thinking, but maybe he's just trying to be creative. But instead of playing this arpeggio, he played this arpeggio. is very interesting. Sorry. On the C minor, he lands on this chord. So just basically C minor 6 with the A on the bass. But then he treats it, the whole thing, as a 5 chord, as a D7. This, 2, 5. Very interesting line. So this, again, the idea of harmonic direction. He starts off consonant. This works perfectly over C minor, because it is a C minor chord, the C minor 6. But it's saying, hey, why don't I treat this as a 2-5-1 over the C minor? So it's really, really cool. Django has done similar things in his solos. So when you have a 4 chord in a minor key, and it's going back to the 1 chord, maybe think 2-5-1. And he's doing a 5 chord that's fairly modern sounding. Something like that, I don't remember how it goes. So then it resolves. And then the second chorus, he's just playing around with, again, these upper extension ideas. And then before going to C minor, he plays some kind of G7 idea. Okay, that's very standard substitution. Again, has to do with harmonic direction. And then he plays a C minor kind of idea. I don't remember exactly how it goes, but like... And then from the C minor to the G minor, instead of thinking G minor, he is thinking B flat minor. So he's thinking this thing that I guess Wes Montgomery popularized. Maybe he got from Wes Montgomery. So the song should go C minor to G minor to D7. But here he's thinking C minor, B flat minor to A minor. That's like a 4-on-6. So it's very, very cool. C minor. Then to D7. And that is the entire solo. It swings, really good phrasing, really good lines, really good technique, really good tone. He's someone to look out for, Lior Krief. Hopefully in a few more years, he'll smoothen things out and come up with something that is really his own. And same thing for his brother Ezekiel. But in the meantime, if you want to see where they're coming from, check out his father, Serge Krief, DC Music School. There we go. Good luck, guys.